Wealth Club of California radio program, and our guest, the influential Yale economist and best-selling author Robert Shiller, talking about his new book, Finance in a Good Society, and it is a thought-provoking read. So I'm going to ask a couple questions and take some of the questions I've got in the cards here. I couldn't tell in your book whether Occupy Wall Street inspires you or scares you.
Actually, I think Occupy Wall Street is part of a bigger movement. It's really a continuation of Arab Spring. And it was found in Madrid before Occupy Wall Street. And after that, it's found in Russia with street demonstrations. It's a democratic movement, and it's a discovery that people are rediscovering that protests can bring down governments and can make big changes. So I'm inspired by that part of it, that I think that they're bringing up the dissatisfaction with the inequality that's developing in our society. People have been saying people don't really care. Well, now we know that they do care, and that they're wanting to make a change. But I guess my disquiet with 99% is that some of them seem to be saying that my students are doing the wrong thing. I think that my students, I don't speak for all of them, they're all over the world, I guess, but I think that they are doing something just as important if they go into finance and fix it from the inside. And so that's where I differ from, so Occupy Wall Street came by Yale recruiters for finance companies and protested as if they were Nazis or something. That's where it's wrong.
Well, I mean, there's this old saying that the problem with socialism is socialism, the problem with capitalism is capitalists.
Right.
But there's this notion in that I wonder, your book lays out these sort of idealistic roles for everyone in the system of finance, from board members to CEOs to bankers. Right. But you mention it, but it seems that the market creates a great place where more base virtues like greed and competition can create a better outcome.
See, this is the thing. This is why we need behavioral finance. People say, why are CEOs compensated so much? Because, you know, in the past, they would do these things out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, to some extent, that's true. You know, you feel a responsibility for the employees. Louis Uchitel had a book in which he writes about executives over the last 50 years and argues that they used to feel more heartfelt concern for their employees, and there's been some decline in that. So I think that our culture maybe could emphasize caring more. I mean, I think maybe we're heading that way. But the other side of it is, does that mean that we don't compensate? Should we make a law against paying $50 million to a CEO? And I'm thinking, well, $50 million is pretty high.
It's been done.
Depends on your perspective. But that's the point. I think that maybe we shouldn't outlaw that. And because, you see, the thing is, because people are complicated. You know, so Lee Iacocca agreed to work for $1 when he was taking over at Chrysler when it was failing. So is that what he offered to do that? That's great. But can we just count on that? I don't think so. There's a mixture of, and people have motives for anything they do like that.
I guess at the heart of, sometimes the heart of a deal, right? Whether it's on Wall Street or it's buying a car, the buyer hopes the seller is going to overpay, right?
You get into these situations,
undersell.
right.
The seller thinks it wants just the opposite outcome, where the two forces that want to take advantage of each other will, in the aggregate, arrive at better pricing. Those aren't virtuistic goals in a transaction, but it works.
See, there are certain careers. I like my career as a college professor. I don't get into very many moral dilemmas like that. A used car salesman would be a difficult career for me because it.
I think you'd do fine.
Maybe I do fine. So that's life. I mean, different careers push you in different directions. So I think the career of a CEO is fundamentally important because they guide an organization. And the reason they're paid, well, there's two reasons why they're paid from so much, a good reason and a bad reason. The good reason is, take some guy who's been running companies. He's 60 years old. He's been great. You know, he has great people skills, and he knows how to turn a company around, supposedly. Maybe he does. And now another company is failing. They've got 10,000 employees. They were a great company, and they're failing. And someone says, bring him in. Maybe he can fix it. You know, he's done things. They want him. But then he says, look, I'm tired. You know, my wife wants me to retire. You know, $10 million just doesn't interest him. So they bid him up, and they say, we'll give you $50 million. So he goes back to his wife, and she says, I could get $50 million if I did this. And then they say, let's start a family foundation, maybe, and we can be pillars of the community where...
Or 10 million wouldn't have got that done.
10 million will only buy you one house in San Francisco.
Right.
So they bring him. That's the good
talk,
reason. Let me get the bad reason. The bad reason is he's got cronies on the board, and they say, hey, we'll pretend, we'll fool the shareholders. We'll say that you're a great executive, and remember me sometime. You know, I gave you a favor. It can't be explicit, but someday you'll pay me back. That happens too. That's crony capitalism. So it's not perfect. So Sarbanes-Oxley tried to regulate that by putting requiring that outside members